Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the WHOLESTIC Method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey, it's Debbie Potts, the host of the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where I'm sharing my story today with you and every week on Fridays about performance and how you can improve your athletic performance by paying attention to your red flags and working on how you can identify your external stressors and your hidden internal stressors that will impact your hormone balance, your immune system, your detoxification, phase 1 and phase 2, and then we've got our digestion is so essential, and energy. How's your mitochondria health? Are you able to metabolize fat? Are you metabolically flexible and metabolically efficient? And then how is your nervous system, your neurotransmitter production? You know, we really need to work on all of these things to really optimize our health from a cellular level because, hello, we're built on cells. So by just focusing on improving your athletic performance with just your exercise program, and then also a lot of you are obviously listening to this podcast because you're curious and interested in following a low-carb diet. And what I focus on telling you is that it's individual. Everything is an experiment. It's part of the journey. N equals 1. And so whenever you read about people recommending what to eat, how many carbs to go for a day to be in ketosis, remember that's what worked for them. And so we need to pay attention to our bio-individuality and knowing that, yes, I want to burn fat. I want to be fat adapted. But there's a lot of things that come into play that interfere with your ability to burn fat, including every stress response is a blood sugar response. So if you don't work on what we say in the FDN Practitioner program as coaches, we work on the D.R.E.S.S for Health Success Protocol. D.R.E.S.S stands for your diet, R is for rest, E is for exercise, S is stress management, and the other S is supplementation. And you can't out-exercise a bad diet. You can't out-supplement poor lifestyle habits. So it's really important when I'm doing my 90-day coaching program, and then ideally people meet with me once a month for follow-up, get them started on this new health-building journey by identifying their stressors. And a lot of them are, relationships with family, with managing kids and trying to take care of themselves and working full time and having a commute. And there's a lot of stressors out there. Plus there's environmental stressors. There's mold, there's heavy metals, there's the toxins in all your household items that you might be using in your makeup and all this stuff that can accumulate and overfill your beaker of stress. And that will influence your HPA axis, which is your hypothalamus, communicating to your pituitary gland, which will send signal to your adrenal gland, but your pituitary gland also sends signals to your thyroid. So there's a lot of things that can be influenced, including thyroid, low thyroid, if your HPA axis is out of whack. And so the lab testing is really interesting. I just got mine back yesterday for my Dutch complete test, and I'll go over that maybe next week with you. And then we don't treat lab results. We want to look at like 2, 3, 5 labs and then correlate that with all your main health complaints and your goals and what's going on, your symptoms. But for me, I've been down this journey since 2013 and I'm still learning, and I hadn't done my hormone panel for a while, and I've always wanted to do the Dutch complete because it doesn't just test cortisol and some of the hormones, it tests a lot of the other metabolites. So it's pretty fun and interesting and to know where I'm at. And so looking at my testosterone, my DHA, my progesterone, my estrogens, we got estro E1, estradiol E2, estradiol E3, and your methylation cycles, and then my daily free cortisol and my cortisone, which is inactive, and then we've got our metabolites, and then we get all this other information on your nutritional organic acids, my B12, my B6, glutathione, And then we have the neurotransmitter metabolites, dopamine, norepinephrine. And then we've got melatonin and oxidative stress, DNA damage. So all that's measured in my Dutch test, the Dutch Complete that I use with my clients, but I practice what I preach and run the tests on myself. But then also we do the metabolic assessment test, or something that measures your liver congestion. And I like Vibrant Wellness, so I'm putting together a blog of all their tests, but they have some great ones to do a wheat zoomer and a food sensitivity lab test through them. There's also MRT that we can do a food sensitivity test with. And then we do a GI map, what's going on in your gut. So I just got my results finally back yesterday, is looking at if I still had blastohominus, which I shared in my book, Life's Not a Race. I had that detected back in, I started this all that I shared in my book, Life is Not a Race, in 2013. Started doing multiple doctors, getting lab tests, and I'm seeing multiple doctors, I said that wrong, and getting a lot of lab tests done with naturopaths. And what I found is what I was saying, no one really looked at the whole picture as we do as FDN practitioners. We take all these labs and figure out a protocol versus looking at my Dutch test. All right, your estrogen is really low. Let's get you on hormone replacement therapy. And looking at my gut test and this test, we look at all of it and then figure out a program. So it's looking at a puzzle, putting what's missing, and put those missing pieces of the puzzle back together so you're complete. And actually, that's a good thing. Think how you can be complete. Remember, that was it movie, You Complete Me. So finding what pieces of the puzzle you need. If it's like more HPA axis support, liver congestion, you need to do a eradication protocol with some botanicals to help with some yeast overgrowth, or if it's bacteria, parasites. We start with parasites, we go to bacteria, and then we work on the yeast. And it's a 90-day protocol. So, it's 60 days, 30 to 60 days, and we go into the next phase, and then the next phase, and help this. And then we want to, support the HPA axis while we're doing that. We want to support the livers. We want to have binders, some GI detox to help support the elimination of the toxins. So then we also want to work on digestion and mitochondria. So it's kind of a process, and people freak out getting too many supplements. Well, there's supplements that we need to take day to day, and that would include, like most of us, when we eat a meal, we need proper digestion. So digestion enzymes and HCl betaine. If you don't have H. pylori, like I just found, I still have H. pylori, and overabundance of E. coli. And I don't know how many of those symptoms they list, but it's still showing there. So I can't take HCl supplements when I have H. pylori, because there's a reason for that, because it's in your stomach. Or again, going to impact digestion. So you really don't know any of this unless you do lab testing, or else you're just guessing. And so key supplements, as I say, you need digestive enzymes for most of us, HCl, depending on your infections in your gut. And then we probably all need omega, essential fatty acids, some type of omega. I think right now with the immune system and the virus going around, coronavirus, we need to up our vitamin C and zinc. And we also should focus on mitochondria. If you read this book by Dr. Lee Know that I'm finishing up, mitochondria function is really important to optimize the role of mitochondria and produce more mitochondria, get them stronger, more resilient. And we'll do lots of podcasts. I've got Dr. Myhill coming on. I'm going to interview Dr. Walls and all these people about mitochondria. And I really think mitochondria health, looking at a low carb diet, proper digestion, liver congestion, proper sleep, all of these different factors of the holistic method really are key to focus on. So day-to-day supplements, going back, digestive enzymes, omegas for your essential fatty acids. Usually we need a B complex, liquid liposomal, I think is better than a pill. So taking any of the liquid, I like Quicksilver Scientific products. And I'll try to put a link in my show notes for a 10% coupon they gave me. But glutathione is really important for liver, detox pathway 1 and 2. I like to take that, and then I'm working on my mitochondria. So I'm taking kind of a mitochondria cocktail, which is L-carnitine, D.R.E.S.S, the B complex, CoQ10, and NADH, and so I take True Niagen and MitoQ, which I need to order more. But those two really help for mitochondria because it's CoQ10 into your cells, into your mitochondria. And the True Niagen helps as well with the NADH, NAD. And then the L-carnitine and D.R.E.S.S, creatine, and the B vitamins. So anyways, all that's really important. And I think a lot of people don't realize that they need to take some supplements. Ideally, we should get everything from our food, but because the quality of our food source and the soil is not the same, of course, we always work on proper food, nutritional therapy, avoiding all the inflammatory foods as corn, soy, vegetable oils, including canola oil, refined sugar, processed foods, and of course, gluten is a reactor for most everybody. And you don't know, a lot of times you are sensitive to certain foods unless you get testing and pay attention. Like if you have skin issues, that's the sign that you're eating something that you're reacted to is gluten. If you have ADHD, ADD, you really got to work on the gut health. And so removing gluten is a common thing for working with people with ADHD, ADD. And so these inflammatory foods we want to remove, and we want to eat healthy, organic, non-GMO, real food. And that's why I think adding more, like I get Butcher Box delivered each month, and I don't have to go to the store barely anymore because I have that just in my freezer and then cook some steak or grass-fed burger, or you can get salmon and have this good stuff just in your freezer ready to go. But eating real food is always essential to working on your health and getting your nutrition from your food. But, adding some minerals in your water is essential because we don't have that quality mineral in our soil anymore. So adding some sea salt in your water in the morning. Actually, I just read a few times in my stress hormone program I'm finishing, is celery juice. Celery and cucumber juice with some sea salt is a great cocktail to have in the morning to help get potassium and sodium, and then so it's good for those electrolytes, good for your adrenals, and having some lemon in it would be good too. So having that in the morning is another good trick. Apple cider vinegar is a good one. So where am I going? So I think just, really focusing on what you're eating, how you're eating, hydrating with the sea salt, and then magnesium at nighttime. A lot of people, if you look at what the role of magnesium, it does a zillion things. Same with zinc. So we want to make sure that's in our supplements, and taking magnesium at nighttime before bed helps you relax, helps, think magnesium, calcium, magnesium, contract, relax in your muscles. So magnesium is more relaxing. So it helps at nighttime, and also helps if you're constipated and not pooping very well. Have some magnesium, MagTech, I like from Natural Stacks. So anyways, I want to share kind of something I realized that I thought it'd be a good learning opportunity for you, the listener, as well, because I know a lot of you are similar to me. And so my lessons learned from living my life as a race for too many years, since my health breakdown in 2013, I've found that I've identified my triggers, my stressors, what makes me anxious, what makes me feel more stressed and rushing and panicky. And that feeling is your cortisol raising up too. So we want to eliminate that constantness, because you're only supposed to have that emergency feeling on and then turn it off again. But if you're always feeling this sense of anxiousness and anxiety to get up and go and do something nonstop, that rushy feeling is not good. It's that hormetic stress. We want acute stress, acute dose. Turn the faucet on, turn it off. So anyways, I digress. So I've learned from many years how I've needed to change the lifestyle. As I keep telling clients, you can't out-supplement bad lifestyle habits. So you can take all this stuff I'm going to give you or recommend to you. I don't give you anything. I recommend supplements, but you have to figure out what feels good for you and titrate and sequence them right. Figure out what works. But first, we always start with those habits. Work on your nutrition, how you're eating, why, when, doing that 16-8, fasting, do cyclical keto, go low carb, and then go more carbs on the weekend and kind of switch back and forth. So working your metabolic flexibility. So that stuff's all key. Sleeping. If you're not sleeping right, don't bother with all this stuff. So anyways, I found, you can't change if you don't work on these lifestyle habits. And for me, as an athlete, competitive athlete in the past, you have to work on transforming the whole you from the inside out. So as I created in 2015 the WHOLESTIC Method, HOWHOLE, whole you, the WHOLESTIC Method is really important. And as an FDN practitioner, we focus on, as I said, the D.R.E.S.S for Health Success program, working your diet, rest, exercise, stress reduction, supplements. The WHOLESTIC Method, when I coach people, is working on their nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress, but mobility drills throughout the day, creating them a good exercise program to work with their stress level and their goals, and then work on digestion and gut health, and work on hydration throughout the day, and having good laughter every day. That's a prescription. Laugh, play more often every day, right? So it's really important to work on all these things to really be healthy. But as an athlete, we have to work on how we eat. You're choosing what you eat. Get real food. Don't get the crappy processed stuff, and sit down and eat and focus, or else it's really hard to heal and repair your gut if you keep eating foods that you are reactive to and they're causing inflammation in your body. Plus, if you're chewing your food just like 5 times and swallowing, you're probably not breaking down your food. And if you have leaky gut, if you have poor stomach acid and digestive enzymes, you're not breaking down your food properly. And then if you have leaky gut, you're not even absorbing those nutrients, but you can't even absorb them if they're not even broken down right. And then they're going to irritate your gut wall lining and leak through anyway. So it's kind of this whole program you have to work on, improve digestion and gut health. But then you have to work on your sleep. And we need to identify those external and hidden internal stressors so we get the right investigation for you with the right functional labs for your needs based on your symptoms. And then we clinically correlate, look at the whole picture, or else, it's a struggle, right? So we want to supplement what we need, as I said earlier, but we have to work on these lifestyle habits. So for me, like last week, I wrote this blog. I'll share some of my lessons learned, but I had this self-awareness of how I've had to change since 2013. And for example, last week, it was a sunny day. It's beginning of March, and it was 55 degrees, which is warm for, end of winter. So what do you think if you have a break in your day? If you're a triathlete, get outside. I need to go for a bike ride. If you're a cyclist, or run. I had to get outside for a bike ride because there's only so many days I like to ride, because I like it certain temperature, not wet, not raining. So I had to get out my bike. I had a busy day. It was on a Thursday, so I had personal training clients 7 to noon, and then I have some other client appointments. So here's how my day started. 5:15 a.m. morning swim. I usually bike in the morning doing math trainings on the spin bike, and then swim at noon. But based on the weather, I had to change my schedule, flip it around. So I swam in the morning on my own, worked on my form, and then I went to train my clients. I make my own coffee with the French press, 4 minutes, and then you pour nice coffee, Kion coffee I love, or Blue Bottle coffee, and I like Stumptown coffee, they have one I love too. Anyways, I add a splash of organic heavy cream and some cinnamon. Then in the morning before I leave home, I put my filtered water, fill it in my bottle. I put some mineral drops from Bio Optimizers, and they have this bee drop I've been putting in too, and some sea salt. So then I train my clients, and I train them 30 minutes each. So I had a full morning, and then I have a client I run walk with the last hour. So till 11 to noon, I'll run walk with him. 2 minutes on, 1 minute walk, and keep his heart rate from going up too high. So I don't like him running nonstop, because or else he'll be at 180 versus run walk. So anyways, that was my morning. So busy day. And I talk about fueling. I just had my coffee. And then I got back home about 12:30. And I had a client come into my house at 3 for infrared appointment. And then I had a coaching call, and then another client at 5. So I was done at 6. So I had this window between, say, 12:45 to 2:45. So the old me, I would have packed my day nonstop, go right home for my run client, throw my bike clothes, and get out there and ride for 2 hours and kind of feel this rush mode and not get back in time till right before my client would come use infrared. that would bring me joy once I'm on my bike, but I would sacrifice on each end before and after that bike ride, not eating and being rushing because I get stressed if I'm late for anything. So I know I need a little more time. So what I've learned since my own breakdown and burnout in 2013, less is more. More is not always better. Leave space between appointments, meetings, and events. Carve time to reset, reboot, and recalibrate. Sit down and eat your meal rather than multitasking and snacking. Get a quality workout in 1 hour is just as good as 2 hours. So more is not better on the workout, especially where I can ride from my house. I can find a loop that's 1 hour with a hill climb in there, and there's like one stoplight. So, and then taking time to breathe, slowly breathing in through nose and exhale. When I feel that anxiety starting to build up, that I'm rushing, I need to stop and just breathe. So I tell clients, like, take three breaths in and out. And you feel yourself right away shift and stop being wired, kind of settle back down. So stop rushing and panicking, trying to do too much in one day. And I know a lot of us do that, especially those that have kids, you're married, you work full time, and you work out a lot. So here's what I did. I got home at 12:30. I prepared my drink, so I had it in my car to drive home. So I've been making athletic greens in the morning in a shaker bottle that they give you, and adding my 5 grams of Kion Aminos powder, and I mix that together. So I had that in my car. So after I finished with my client at 12:15 about, I was able to have that on my way home. So I had my organic coffee in the morning about 5 a.m. and I had that in the morning after workouts. And I take my Kion Amino 5 grams before I work out, so at 5 in the morning. And then I had it after my workout or before my workout with before my client, or no, I had it before my bike ride. So then I was fasting, but I'm afraid of fasting as I learn more, that sometimes we're fasting too long for athletes and for females, especially with people that already have hormones imbalance. So fasting more than 16 hours, I don't think is beneficial. I think for us athletes and for female athletes, keeping that 16-8 window is a little bit healthier for your hormones, and avoid breaking my fast with athletic greens. In the past, I wasn't doing them because I'm like, oh, I can't have any of that before, a certain time. I got to fast all the way until, 3 o'clock. I can finally eat. Well, now I'm experimenting having my athletic green drink and my Kion Aminos, and that was noon, so there was enough time, to get a full 16-hour plus fast because I stopped eating early in the day. But just experiment. Side note, just try what works for you. I'm adding Vespa, a pack, put it in my bag in case I'm having this back-to-back kind of day, that I'll put Vespa and have that 30 minutes before my run, or 30 minutes before I go for my bike ride. So on this day, I got home at 12:30. I got organized. I got the infrared set up for my 3 o'clock client. I got my bike out, got everything ready to go, and then I stopped. I sat down, had some handful of mixed nuts, some sea salt, and then I had some sliced goat cheese that I have. And I just wanted to see, sometimes I just need to sit and maybe eat something more, because I hadn't eaten for probably, that was a Thursday. So a lot of times on Wednesdays, I eat my lunch about 4 o'clock. So I probably ate, not until after 5 o'clock. So I did plenty of fasting. So I probably needed to have something to eat. And don't think that's going to take you out of fat burning mode. I think a lot of athletes are scared, like, oh, if I have anything, it's going to break my fast or my ability to burn fat. If you're metabolically efficient and metabolically flexible, I think you're probably okay, and not get all psycho about it. And we get obsessed with fasting too much and not eating enough, then we're actually causing more damage than good and causing hormone imbalance, men and women. So trying Vespa, I think, is a great way to not spike your blood sugar, but have a little bit of extra boost if you need it. Or like I had time before a bike ride, I can have a little bit of macadamia nuts and almonds and be okay on my bike ride, because I'm not good at eating and the bike riding. or running or swimming, it comes back up. So I took time instead of rushing. I took time to get ready for my bike, make sure I was organized for afterwards. So I kind of had that transition set up so it was, good T1 to T2 type of thing. And I did a shorter bike ride. I planned an hour and 15 minutes I could ride, and I had a good loop without traffic. I could do a little more intervals, or if I felt good, do more higher intensity intervals, or, if I'm just kind of feeling the need for just steady state, keeping that MAF heart rate's 120 to 130 for me. So I got home in time. I wasn't rushed. I did my hour bike ride. I got home and I had 45 minutes to eat my meal. So I have my butcher box, savory seasonings, grass-fed butter with goat cheese, some nuts, and I mixed it into ground beef. It was great. And then dessert, I like to have a little almond butter with maybe sometimes a dark chocolate little square of it and have some almond butter on it. And that was about 2:15 to 3 o'clock. So that ends up being my main meal for the day. So I wasn't not eating the rest of the day. I just had remember I had athletic greens. I had the nuts before, which I need to not do nuts, but, nut butter would be better before my workout. So, I swam, I walked an hour with someone, client, and then an hour bike ride. So I got 3 hours of workout in. And so you do need to eat a little more than the average person. And I had meetings, and then I had a coaching call with a client, then I had a personal training client at their house down the street. So I had a full day, and I don't eat after 5. So when I ate that meal, 2:15 to 3 o'clock, I sat and focused and relaxed. I wasn't rushing, and that's going to help with my digestion. And then that was all I need to eat the rest of the day. So the rest of the day, the other things I've learned to, when I, get home, say I got home at 6:30 from my client, I make sure I turn off my phone, and then I sat, relaxed, chatted with my husband. Turn off your phone, your email. I leave it upstairs and charge it anyway, so it's not even with me. And then I get ready for bed. I do go to bed early. I get up at 4:30 without an alarm, so I'm kind of an early riser. I like to go to bed and read. So I have this kind of sleep hygiene routine. I wash my face, maybe do a little mask on my face. I do all that stuff, and then I have the room cold. I have the window open, the fan on. I spray lavender essential oil on our pillows in the room air, and I get into bed and read. And my goal's silly, but it works for me. I read at least 3 pages, and I find it easy to read more than that, but just at least 3, and it gets me sleepy, gets my mind relaxed. And I can't bring my iPad into bed, and even if I have my blue blocker glasses on, it is a distraction. I can't read my ebooks on there because I suddenly will be on looking at other stuff. So I just read a nice book, old-fashioned kind, paper, and focus on that. And I have the lights dimmed, and so I have much better sleep. Phone and iPad's in the kitchen. I turn it off. I don't have any whistles, bells, or alarms. My phone's usually turned off, and I don't have any alerts. Everything's disabled. And I turned off Siri because she's freaking me out listening to everything I say and do. So Siri is now turned off on my phone and my iPad. And then lastly, I don't eat anything before bed, 3 hours. So I have my clients, go to bed by 10 for sure. Make sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep, and working on, what you can do to improve your sleep as an individual. But typically not eating 2-3 hours before bed. So I myself stop eating after 5 o'clock during the week. Weekends, Friday, Saturday, I'm not so rigid because you got to mix it up. So sustainability is key. So for myself, I've realized I need to thrive. I used to thrive on being busy and rushing all day. It's just a good feeling for so long, then you break, right? You can't sustain that busyness for so long. And that's my whole story and my mission and my purpose, to help you realize that. And what my book is about, Life is Not a Race, the main takeaway was, I think, when I wrote it 5 years ago, is that more is not better. And, the Goldilocks effect for everything. And you can only thrive on that, addicted to busyness for so long until suddenly one day, like March 2013, to me, I just, the straw that broke the camel's back. It was just that final thing that was like, no more. My body said, you're not going anywhere. You're done. And that's what happened one day on a bike ride. I was done. I couldn't go. So I myself find myself being anxious, as I said, irritable, stressed if I am rushing, if I'm not on time. And we all know that we have different types of external stressors. You might be aware of them, but these chronic nonstop external and internal stressors just contribute to your beaker of stress, leading to internal breakdown and burnout of all your body systems, as myself, at a cellular level. Or as Reed Davis, the founder of FDN, calls metabolic chaos, is that HPA axis dysfunction, imbalance of your cortisol to DHA, but it's also, multiple things. Like you look at my labs that I just got back, I damaged myself so much. It's 2020 and this started in 2013, and my cortisol is still at the low end of the range. I've been on and off supplements because I think it's good to be on often, but I still haven't been able to repair myself because I was so damaged. So I don't want you to get to the point where I was, that it was, I feel good. I don't realize my cortisol's still low, my melatonin's low, and DHA's low. My testosterone somehow was in the middle. I feel like that felt like that was low. But I think, you need to do the lab testing, really get an alert to you to show, okay, here's where I'm at. Here's, what I think. If you want to be healthy and fit, don't just train for races and work out. You have to look at these lab tests to figure out, oh my gosh, I'm totally damaging myself. Got oxidative stress is in the red zone. I've got all these food sensitivities. I have this bacteria infection. I have yeast overgrowth or fungal infection, E. coli, whatever it might be. You have no clue. I have no idea that I still have H. pylori, except for I kept getting sick having protein, but now I've figured that out. It's a good way to find out what is going on and why do you feel certain ways and how you can correlate all this together. So it's like, why can't I run without my heart rate going to 150, 160 and I'm going a 10-minute mile when I used to run a 7:30 pace and do a 3:12 Boston Marathon, and 3:17 was my second time there. Well, I did most recent time, and because I used to go there every year. Boston Marathon, Ironman. I used to, do an Ironman swim bike and then run a 3:45. This is not bragging. It's just saying, hey, I barely can run a 9:30 pace without my heart rate being anaerobic. So there's something to say about the connection of genetics, your methylation cycle, your ability to deal with stress, with your HPA axis function, hormone imbalance, your liver congestion, your mitochondria function. All these things really overlap and come into play. So what I've learned is that we need to, slow down. And on a busy day and the sun was shining, what would you do? Would you have you taken that 12:30, got home and you had an appointment at 3, would have you gone on your bike 12:45 to 2:45 and just get in there as much as you can, then rush, have a shower and be ready and just skip eating? Or eat something while you're walking, talking, multitasking? We have to look at our lifestyle habits to know when is an exercise session, less is more, and when you're creating more additional stress. When are you causing your mitochondria to be dysfunctional, as well as everything else? And when are you optimizing your mitochondria with the proper amount of exercise? 45 minutes, doing strength training, doing interval training when appropriate, doing, outdoor walks and sun shining, get outside. So you have to know yourself, and you know yourself best, what you would do, and maybe stop, pause, and reset your own self. When the sun's shining, you've got a full work day, we want to get outside and get that exposure to daylight. But would you push yourself and fit too much into one day and put yourself in a panic mode, rushing, cramming the rest of the day in, because you're always playing catch up? So I have this t-shirt with one of my favorite quotes. I wish I knew back then what I know now. And that's so me. And I love that shirt and love that saying. And, we have to learn that each day, happiness is a choice. Each day, as if it's your last, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and be in the moment. The past, what's the saying from that Panda movie? What's the past is a past, the present is a gift, and the future you don't know about. So focusing on being more in the present, I think is key. Enjoying the process, embracing the changes as we get older, focusing on the positive and shifting our attitude to embrace this new journey and lifestyle. Life is a journey. You don't know what's going to happen. So I think we need to slow down every day, enjoy the moment, enjoy the ride, be focused, be in the moment, be aware of your own red flags, and respect what your body is telling you. When to slow down, when you need to reset, reboot, and recalibrate, like you do on your computer, pushing down the buttons for control, alternate, delete, and resetting, rebooting your computer. Why are you not doing that to yourself? I just feel people are always catching up, always rushing. They're feeling emotionally broken down. They're anxious. They're pushing through fatigue when they should just be taking a walk break instead. And listen to your body. Just learn from my experience. The struggle is real. My mission now is to help you with my new coaching program and podcasting more often and blogging and speaking at conferences as Jimmy Moore's Low Carb Cruise in May if we don't get it canceled, and at the KetoCon in June, and really sharing how stress impacts the whole you from the inside out, and looking at my personal story, my book. If you can find it look up Debbie Potts on Amazon. It's called Life is Not a Race. It is a journey with the Holistic Method. I have the manual, the Holistic Method, a chapter on each of those 8 elements that I wrote 5 years ago, but they're, nothing's really changed that much about leaky gut, and talk about hydration and happiness and gratitude. Nutrition, N=1. It's, really balancing your blood sugar and finding yourself in a slight ketosis. If you're just trying to lose fat, having your ketones at 0.1, I think is good to 0.5. You don't need to be in deep ketosis if you're just trying to burn fat. Also, I was at this conference last weekend, Nutritional Therapy Association, Portland, Oregon, and the topic was thrive. Their theme was thrive. And I really thought that was a good message, kind of correlated with my own journey right now, and really focusing on sharing my story with you is what I keep hearing I need to do more in conferences. Like, share your story, share your journey, your struggles, being authentic and showing your vulnerability. Show that, like, my running sucks right now and I'm frustrated, and I feel like, I need to be perfect to be a coach, but there's more lessons for you to learn that I have a struggle with running because of what I did building up to 2013. And that leads me to more inspiration to help you avoid going through that road that you're still not broken 8 years later. And really looking at taking care of the whole you now, so you're not overtraining and under recovering. You're not fasting excessively. Like, once a month, do a 24-hour fast, dinner to dinner, but do it on a day you don't exercise. Take 16-hour fast from dinner to your mid-morning breaking your fast, and an 8-hour eating window. You can do that during the week. On the weekends, do more keto, cyclical keto, that you're adding more carbs, refeeding on the weekends, and improve that metabolic flexibility. And not freak out that your ketones are 0. You can test the next day and they're probably back to 0.5. So being fat adapted, being metabolic flexibility, I think is a healthier way, from what I learned last weekend at the conference, to have optimal health. It's only essential to be in strict nutritional ketosis all the time if you are fighting chronic illness, different diseases. And we'll talk to Dr. Walls about this, and we'll talk to Anna Kabeka about hormone imbalance. I'm talking to Dr. Sarah Myhill on mitochondria function. So I've got tons of amazing doctors coming on the show on the Monday episodes to share this information. But really, being real and being authentic, especially in social media where people hide, their misses and their losses and their areas of opportunity. They're just showing you their successes and their wins, and they're not showing their struggles. So just to really be aware of that. When someone said, oh, I lost 20 pounds in a month, and I did a fasted workout and ran a marathon without having anything. Well, that might not be appropriate for you. That might be them saying they're fasted, but they really had some Vespa and they had other things, so they weren't truly fasted. They did some supplementation to add their fat adaptation and fat oxidation. So really, you don't know the full story. So I challenge you to choose to be happy. Happiness is a choice. Yes, the struggle is real. You can work on thriving each day and not trying to survive each day. So it's hard for women, female athletes as well as men, to work on the fat loss, to improve athletic performance and the aging process. But really, looking at your areas of opportunity, getting those lab tests done. And I'll start doing if you just want to run the labs, you don't want 3 months coaching, I do have a health optimizer package that's just do the labs. We'll have one coaching call to assess all this and create a program without doing the weekly calls that I do for the 90 days. We meet once a week and we talk every day. But if you just want to get the labs, you have to order them through Practitioner and then have someone to be your health detective. I can do that. So I'm sharing my areas of opportunities and my gifts that I learned from my misses and my losses with you to help you from overtraining, under eating, and avoiding your own red flags. And remember, as we keep talking on the show, that women are different than men. Not only do we have different body parts, as a penis, and men don't have breasts, and we don't have a penis, but we do have different optimal hormone ranges, and those change every month for women. And men don't have their menstrual cycle, right? They don't have to deal with their hormones changing up and down. Men do struggle with hormone balances, cortisol, their thyroid, their DHA, estrogen, testosterone as well. But women are a little different. It goes up and down, then it starts to go lower in our 40s. So we have to really optimize our hormones with like maca and different things that we can do in the right keto green that we'll talk to Anna Kaveka about. But, the struggles and learning how to learn from that and learn how to thrive and learn about your individual needs based on comparing yourself to everybody else. It's an experiment, an ongoing experiment you continue to do every day. So use these recommendations we all talk about as a template for your own health start, your own journey, and get rid of that cycle of trial and error. Try this, try that. Let's figure out an individual program based on your genetics, your lab work, your clinical correlation, everything, to figure out what should you be doing. And if it's the right plan, you should thrive and feel alive and not be struggling. So I'll finish with, after that Thursday last week that was sunny and I took my typical 2-hour ride and I just went for an hour ride. I was at the conference Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I hate being inside all day, especially in a conference in a convention center type of room in a hotel. We were in Portland, Oregon. I had to get outside. So at lunchtime, we usually have like hour and a half break. I usually go for a run, and it's always, skip the lunch and I'll eat something in the back of the room and if I need it, and go for a run instead of lunch. And I need to get outside, but my body that Friday was really tired and my run felt horrible and heavy. So I had to walk instead of run. I had to listen to those red flags and practice what I preach. I had to focus on the journey of being happy to be outside. It was another blue sky day. The flowers are coming out. And I had to just forget my pace and just be happy to be outside and moving. And then Saturday, the next day, I woke up without an alarm. I got to the gym workout and I did some mobility drills, single leg lunges and squats and balance work and hip mobility exercises. And then at lunchtime on our break, I went for a run. Again, outside to get the fresh air. There's a little bit of rain, so it wasn't the sunshine I love, but I was outside. And my run felt great. So I had a good run. I was happy. I think doing the mobility work in the morning helped my run stride and performance. And, doing the strength in the morning might help. Getting that sleep that I needed. I didn't fly in an airplane. My rest, probably heart rate variability was better. So you have to listen to your body's feedback and learn from those lessons. Biohacking, tracking at first, but it gets tiring logging in all this stuff on Training Peaks or doing your heart rate variability testing and doing your food logging. I get sick of that. So do that in the beginning, and then start to pay attention. Just do intuitive training, intuitive eating, and if you're learning how to be honest with yourself. So I always start my run on Sunday. I was going to go do a longer run, but it was last day's session. I took my time. I got up and I worked a little bit first, and then went outside when it was light out. I thought it's Sunday, I should do a longer run. So right now I'm just trying to do 8 miles because I struggle running over 3. So I walk, and I got outside. I'm like, I don't feel good. I'm not warming up. And I just made it a 5-mile run, and I ran, and then I did a little 1-minute walk, and then ran 4 minutes and 1-minute walk. So I had to listen to my body again and just not complain and whine and be depressed, but again, be happy I'm able to run, be happy I'm outside and getting fresh air before I was in conferences, and enjoy the scenery. Just breathing outside is just therapeutic. So we have to get out of that mentality that I'd push myself into 8 miles. It'd be a crappy run, and just do an easier 5-mile run and make it more quality. Or, if you're still not feeling it, go for a short run. It's funny because the old me mindset of Sunday was a long run day. Long run was never 8 miles. Who does 8 miles for a long run? That's my weekday run. My short run workouts would be 5 to 8 miles during the week. And my long run would be, 12 miles or more. So life has changed right now. Who knows what will happen in the future? But, 8 miles was a piece of cake. Now, 2 miles, I start to get, my heart rate climbs up. So we're working on that, but we'll see what happens in my journey. So, I used to always do marathons and 50K trail runs and half Ironmans and Ironmans, and now 5 miles is my long run. So again, I have to remind myself, be happy. I can run. I'm not injured. I don't have cancer. I'm not dying. It's going to be okay. Just because I can't do a marathon or Ironman this year, trail run, I'm okay. And just enjoy life. So learn from my journey. Life's Not a Race, my book. If you can help me out there on Amazon so I can help spread this message to other type A, chronically busy individuals that thrive on busyness, you can have them read my book and learn from me, from my experience. So since then, I became a certified functional nutritional therapy practitioner and a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And now I'm just focused on being a health detective to help others look at the whole picture, not treating labs, not treating your symptoms, but really working on investigating the whole your whole story by collecting data to your missing pieces of your puzzle to restore your own health, vitality, and your ability to thrive each day. So I'll end with reminders to not blame the aging process that you can't do something. It's one of my pet peeves, and I'll, could go on a rant about when people say, oh, you're just getting older. I hate that. Don't accept your current health condition, energy, or unexplained health complaints as the new you or your new normal. Do something that will take care of the whole you, as the Holistic Method coaching program, plug for myself, or somebody else that can really help you and identify your areas of opportunity. So as an FDN practitioner, health detective, we collect data and clues with the labs. I use the nutritional therapy assessments. I look at your genetic, your DNA fit report, your metabolic chaos evaluation, and really individualize a protocol for you based on all this info, collecting those clues and data, and create that D.R.E.S.S for health success protocol to help you repair, rebuild, and restore the whole you. So if you want a consultation, give me a message. You can send me a message on wpotts.net. 15-minute complimentary consultation for my listeners, and going over what options I have for you, seeing how I can help you for a good match, good personality blend, because we talk every week and I help you. So if you're not motivated to change and make that commitment to your health, it's not going to work. So it is a 90-day program, and then ideally meet once a month to keep you on track until you're ready to go on your own. But just read more my blog I wrote on this. So I'm here to help you help yourself. So let me know what I can do. Give me a shout out on social media. You know where I am, Low Carb Athlete on Instagram and on Facebook. And hopefully we can work together and help everyone else in our world slow down and think less is more. Sometimes more is not always better. So get outside, enjoy some fresh air, take some long inhales and exhales, and pay attention to what your body is telling you. All right, go play, laugh, and have fun. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us to continue to grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.